Well, Allison should know. What do you think about that anyway? Internet is that massive computer network, the one that's becoming really big now.
What do you mean? That's big. How does one? What do you write to it like mail?
What does it mean?
It's a giant computer network made up of started from.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell us what this was.
It's like a computer billboard.
The internet was developed for about 30 years, completely by the public. All of the software, the hardware, the satellites, everything about it was completely within the public domain.
Over the course of 40 years, the public domain has helped develop internet into a pervasive phenomena. This phenomena has profoundly affected almost every aspect of human life. Today, it is hard to imagine what our lives would be like without the internet, any more than we can imagine life without running water or the light bulb. This ubiquitous influence is felt by billions of people who depend upon it every day, at home, at work, in school, and everywhere in between.
الإنترنت تعطيني القوة والقدرة على بناء المستقبل.
互联网是我为了更美好的明天获取创新思维的源泉。
Internet me permet d'exprimer ma créativité.
The internet is my advantage in life.
This influence can be attributed to its architectural design. Its underlying principles were built off of freedom and openness. It was not to be divided by north or south, rich or poor. It would not discriminate. These principles push decision-making and intelligence to the edge of the network, to end users, to businesses of every size, to creators and speakers across the globe. A blank canvas where anyone can contribute and innovate without the permission of others. A canvas that could sustain applications that today's inventors have not yet dreamed of. It was supposed to be future-proof.
ISP stands for Internet Service Provider, and that's what we do. Provide Internet Service, or PIS. Customers recognize us as Verizon, AT&T, Time Warner, and Comcast. Over the years, we've spent billions to build the pipes and towers that bring Americans the Internet. Today, we face a crisis. There's just too much traffic. Fortunately, we have a solution. The Internet, as it exists today, must go. Here's our proposition. Instead of everything going at the same speed, the way it does now, we will create a fast lane and a slow lane on the Internet. Giant companies who can pay us more will be in the fast lane, where it will be easier for people to find them. Everyone else can take the slow road. We'll also create innovative new ways to charge Internet users for the sites they want.
But you remember this. When you control the mail, you control information.
What's stopping us?
Net Neutrality!
Behind closed doors, there has been an ongoing war between the private and public sectors over the sovereignty of the Internet, while the majority of users remain in the issue's blind spot, unassuming and unaware.
There was a firefight!
Since the turn of the 21st century, telcos and big corp have been in negotiations, drafting pacts, forming alliances, and planning campaigns in order to eliminate net neutrality from the framework of the Internet. In essence, net neutrality is the notion that all traffic flows in the Internet without preference or discrimination. Everything should be subject to the same speed and quality. This means, even though Internet service providers own the pipes in which information travels, they are prohibited from manipulating any of that content. Would you allow your courier to mess with the contents of your mail just because they happen to ship it to you?
Big telecom firms and the giants of the internet have never gotten along very well. Back in 2005, Ed Whitaker, who was the CEO of AT&T at the time, said, "What they'd like to do is use my pipes free, but I ain't going to let them do that." Then the FCC decided to auction off all those television channels that broadcasters weren't going to need anymore. Google asked the FCC for some ground rules, that the spectrum couldn't be locked to specific devices, and that whoever won the bid couldn't block any applications. In other words, some of the core concepts of net neutrality applied to wireless. The FCC said, sure, fair enough. Verizon reacted by filing a federal lawsuit against the rules. Oh, and then winning the spectrum auction.
telcos have developed a theory that because they own these communication lines and the spectrum involved to pass information between computers, that it isn't their right to edit and have more control over what the internet should be like.
Or not. And Verizon in this case has claimed that very right. They've said they have not only a statutory right, but a First Amendment right to edit the internet.
A judge threw out the suit, but critics say the FCC's no locking, no blocking rules are pretty much toothless anyway.
Am I the only one around here who gives a shit about the rules?
Suddenly, Google seemed to agree with Verizon that there really shouldn't be any neutrality rules for wireless at all.
Wow!
That left a lot of people scratching their heads. What was it that had changed?
This is what happened. Google got into the mobile device business, and its former archenemy Verizon became one of its biggest business partners.
One thing all may key on in the near term is a suggested policy framework offered recently by Verizon and Google. It suggests formally barring any wired internet provider from discriminating against or prioritizing internet traffic solely to create a competitive advantage. But note that it makes no mention of wireless networks. In fact, it carves those out of the neutrality vision. And that's where all the explosive growth is occurring in internet connectivity.
Anybody home? Hey, think McFly, think.
Well, is there any real difference between the wireless side and the wired side? I mean, as far as you're concerned, should different rules apply?
I've always taken the position that there should not be fundamentally different rules. What's actually going on here is there's an effort to replace the norms on this thing, on the real computer, the openness, the original ideas of Steve Wozniak and all the computer generation people, to give the power to the people, to have a full device that you control, to replace it with a set of norms that come from the telephone company, a much older tradition of controlling what users do, and making it much more like this device right here. I think one thing that was important about the Google-Verizon proposal is you have a major carrier, one of the most important carriers, certainly the most advanced carrier in the United States, agreeing to enforceable neutrality rules. That is a huge step forward. It's the wireless side that is the questionable part. Wireless itself is taking over from wireline. Right? So I think that, first of all, the public needs to be aware that there is a major shift going on, and it's being sugar-coated.
Surely you can't be serious. I am serious.
And again, I love the new stuff, but not to be completely blinded or blown away by how convenient cell phones are, into realizing that we're going to lose a forum for speech, potentially, and a forum for innovation.
You lose! Good day, sir!
We speak historically. I think people need to be very aware of what's going on here in a big picture.
Without formal rules of neutrality, internet service providers' management of their networks would be ratcheted up for solely competitive reasons. If we continue to allow the private sector to merge and regulate the web, the internet's ability to function for the benefit of the public would be lost to a future where the internet's primary concern is their accountability toward corporate stakeholders.
I hate you! Game over!
When ideas are blocked, information deleted, conversations stifled, and people constrained in their choices, the internet is diminished for all of us.
No! No!
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.